Morning. Is Boris Johnson off the hook?
After 126 fines, that question is down to top official Sue Gray, whose report into pandemic rule-breaking in Whitehall is due out next week. The Prime Minister tried to leave Partygate behind today to go to Tory Welsh conference, but overnight he and others who work here have been receiving letters telling them what the Gray report will say about them. Should heads roll now over Partygate, Prime Minister? Are you worried about the Sue Gray report, Prime Minister? Are you worried about what's coming next week, Prime Minister? Or are you just going to pretend it never happened? One after another, stories of parties and gatherings have hung over Boris Johnson for almost half a year. He's hoping to savour the prospect that after the report and one more address to Parliament, it could all go away.
That will be entirely up to Sue Gray, and I'll be looking forward very much to seeing what she has to say, and fingers crossed that will be pretty soon next week.
Prime Minister, wherever you are, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson keen to talk about anything else with activists.
Just as we got the most difficult challenges of COVID right and got the big calls right, we will get this country through the big the big challenges now and the post-COVID aftershocks. We want to take Wales forward, and we want to take Britain forward together, using our strong economy to help the whole country through the COVID aftershocks, and taking the big decisions now that will deliver a prosperous and dynamic UK in the decades to come.
Decades in power. That was the promise of a boosterish Boris Johnson here in Wales. But behind the scenes, that wasn't quite the atmosphere that you see. Yes, they look like they'll continue to keep him as Prime Minister. Nobody wants to unseat Boris Johnson despite Partygate. But they are wary of defending him. The Tories at this conference, they're not sure the future is bright.
Overall, I would say it's not his best speech, and it wasn't a good reception at all.
Is he the right Tory leader?
I'd like to see a bit more of a number policy from a Conservative government.
We did come across a few people who said they're not going to vote for us just because of Boris. However, there are many people who didn't care about what's going on with the fines and all that.
One senior Tory suggested the fines were fair game for the opposition.
But I don't think one should ever sweep aside an issue that's caused as much negativity for the party, really, as that issue had.
If the behaviour that we just talked about had been a Labour politician, you would have been hammering them rotten, wouldn't you?
We probably would.
Pressure now building back in Whitehall. The head of the civil service has pulled out of a Commons hearing next week. Could Simon Case get the blame for the culture that led to the fines, despite not getting one himself? Partygate could have an unpredictable end. Sam Coates, Sky News, Newtown in Wales.